Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's your boy here at the Real Shot 256 with another episode of Evening Crypto. And today we want to talk about Binance and their recent Q&A that CZ just conducted a few minutes ago. Actually, about 30, 40 minutes ago from this video. We're coming at you from the Pacific Coast, United States. It's currently about 10:03 in the at night, and it's about 1 a.m. in the East Coast in the United States. But CZ just had a quick Q&A and revealed some of its plans for the near future. So let's go ahead and discuss that and talk about some of the highlights from that video. Um, I'll leave the link to their Twitter, and then you can look up the entire video if you want to do that. But I'll give you some of the highlights that way. If you don't want to waste your time doing that, and you could just get the gist of it here a little bit after our TA session, and then also my continued search for a different crypto exchange for United States-based customers, since the news that Binance is actually going to be limiting the amount of cryptocurrencies that we can trade here in the US, but also opening up a completely different platform altogether away from Binance. And he, in this Q&A, just came out and said it. I told you guys in my last video how it was kind of bothersome that it was Binance or CZ weren't really coming out and giving us any clarity as to what was going to happen. We got a bunch of news articles from pretty much every cryptocurrency driven news internet news outlet, whatever you want to call those, but no real word from official Binance personnel. And finally, tonight we did get some clarity, so that's good. I'm happy for that. I'm definitely glad that he came out and started to um, give us some clarity as to what the future holds for current Binance traders such as myself and many others. And so that's a good thing. I'm glad he came out and diffused some of the anger that's been going on. I've definitely been seeing it on crypto Twitter, on the various Facebook groups that I follow. Definitely has been out there, Reddit, you name it. Uh, so I did compile two different articles where um, people are pretty much grading these different outlets, these different platforms, crypto trading platforms. And I'll be going over those, and then we can together maybe come up with a good solution. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you have actually done some research and found a decent place to trade crypto, definitely let me know, because again, my search is not over. I'm definitely looking for another place to go. And if you have an affiliate link, I would definitely, wouldn't mind going through your affiliate link. So definitely let us know. So current state of the market, we're looking at 288 market cap altogether, and 24-hour trading volume is down to 52,000 and a half billion, or 52 billion, sorry. And BTC dominance is right around 57%. Now this number is kind of indicative of what's going on with Bitcoin. Two things actually: the descending volume, trading volume in the last 24 hours for the entire market cap, plus the the current Bitcoin dominance at 57%. We were actually higher at right around 60% on back to May 13th, Monday, May 13th. So we've stayed in the high 50%, which again, two things, um, the fact that Bitcoin has gone up and has also remained high on the dominance chart, and also the trading volume just dwindling down to the 50 billion in the last 24 hours. We're still on a decreasing trend when it comes to trading volume, and on a per day basis, which leads me to believe that a lot of the trading, a big part of the trading, is happening on Bitcoin only, or mostly on Bitcoin. So and we do see that correlation with the price action with Bitcoin just going up. And to get into that a little bit more, we were back here when we were looking at this area. Um, let me make it clear for you guys. When we were looking at this area here, as far as back in a few days ago, we were thinking, hey, if we want to regain the highs of 9,000, then we need to start closing some 4-hour candles above the 8250. That's what we've been preaching in the last few videos, and voila, guess what? And after that, um, actually this 4-hour close here at um, 86, actually a little bit before that. Yeah, this candle here called it perfectly for a. Actually, I'm in the wrong time frame. Sorry, guys. Let's go back to the 4-hour. 8250. We're looking for 8250. We started closing um, 4-hour candles around 8250, right about here. And then look at that. I mean, close to first one, second, third. I mean, it just on and on and on and on. And we see the price of Bitcoin just, steadily climbing since about this point here to the high. It's gone up another 14 point, we'll call it 14.20% from this point forward. So definitely good to see that Bitcoin is actually, closing candle after candle on the higher time frames up above that area and just setting new highs. We're currently trading at looks like 92.20. And again, we just been on a nice little tear for the last couple of days. So this is definitely indicative that we are going to finish that move to 10,000. I do think we're going to see it here within the next week or two at the most. We're definitely going to see Bitcoin run up to 10,000. That's kind of where we're placing our bets. So if you're long on Bitcoin right now, definitely good call on that. Right now it is hugging the 30 simple, the 21's right underneath it. So definitely looking bullish. It did retest it here, did retest the 30 simple here, and it looks like it's ready to keep on climbing. So we might see if we do see a little bit of retracement. It's it'll be natural, it'll be good, it'll be healthy. Nothing too much to worry about unless we go down here to prior lows. Like if we do breach the 8250 mark again, which is coming down way down here now. Um, if we do see a breach of this trend line here, the simple 200, then I would start to worry. But at this point, it just looks like it might retest the 30 simple, maybe the 21, and just keep on running up. Again, wait for I would say wait for that run to 10,000 within the next week or two. That's kind of what our time frame is, and then from there we'll reassess. It might be a good time to take some gains at that point and wait for a bounce, see what happens there. RSI is looking still, I mean, still looking pretty bearish here in the bearish control zone, but Bitcoin is not really uh, losing anything here. It's staying steadily up here again above every major and simple moving average, which again leads me to believe that we are going to finish that move in the next couple of weeks. This is the 4-hour. Let's look at a daily candle and see what the RSI is telling us. RSI is looking pretty bullish right now. Just because it is again in this bullish zone does not mean that it will just start coming down. Look at how long it stayed on the bullish side these previous few times. And so, I mean, there's no reason why, and it will actually need to do that. It will actually need to stay in this bullish momentum zone here at the stochastic RSI. I mean, it could potentially come down and retest these areas, and that's where we're thinking, it might come back and retest the simple 30 here, maybe the 55. And we do see the RSI come back down here and retest this prior low on the RSI here, coming back to a couple of weeks ago, and from there just bounce back up into the bullish territory and bullish control. So again, I do think we're going to stay on this pattern here. There's no reason to be short on Bitcoin right now. You'll just be going against the trend and just swimming upstream. That doesn't make any sense. So I would continue to long it if you are, or just stay in the trade if you've been wherever you got in. Just even right now, I mean, this is already looking pretty bullish. Here, if we can close this daily candle here where we're currently at 92, close to 9200, and then we get a continuation green continuating candle above the 90. We'll call it 93.28. We do get a continuation of that above 93.28, then 93.30. We'll just call it. Then absolutely, I mean, it just gets more and more bullish. So definitely looking pretty darn good right now. Let's see. Let's look at the 1 hour here just for kicks. Yeah, I mean, just right above the 100 simple here. It did go right below it, but just came right back up, and it's currently right underneath the 21 simple and that, or I'm sorry, the 21 exponential EMA and the 100 simple here. So looking pretty good on the hourly as well. We can see that a lot of these moving averages, at least these three here, are starting to converge in the same area, which is again pretty good for building that support and resistance as we did back here. That these levels here were prior resistance, and now look at them acting as support. I mean, just textbook TA here, textbook behavior here with Bitcoin price action, just bouncing up this old resistance point. We did see that candle or that wick come back down and retest this area. I mean, it just got bought up right away, and just continuation right after that. And look at that, we retested we actually went past the previous high at 94 and 30. So I mean, couldn't be more optimistic on Bitcoin right now. The hourly is in the bearish territory, with I mean, just a little bit of downside, not much of downside action here. So again, definitely looking very bullish here for Bitcoin. Let's look at the 3 hour and then move on to some other coins. Um, 3 hours still looking. I mean, looking like it wants to. Looking like it wants to come up here and cross to the upside. That'll be again another good indication that we'll continue to run. But wait for. I mean, it's only Monday here in the U.S. It'll probably be Tuesday in the eastern part of the world. But we have pretty much a full week for Bitcoin to develop these tests of the prior highs and actually keep setting new highs on the short term, again until we hit that measured move to 10,000. All right, let's move on to Litecoin, and not a whole lot happening over there with Litecoin. Just kind of staying around and staying in the fight, staying in a pretty good range. Um, not giving us too much to talk about, except for the fact that in the 3 hour still looking pretty good, retesting the 55 here, and again we're starting to have convergence here with these moving averages, and just starting to compile here in the same price territory here, which is again is going to act as support, resistance, support, resistance. So not anything too exciting going on here until we do decide to break out. Maybe we'll just have to wait till Bitcoin just kind of finishes its target to 10,000, and then that'll give Litecoin some room to actually take off. Let me take a sip of water here. Mm. So, but again, it's looking pretty bullish on the 3 hour. RSI looking in the bearish territory, but it does look like it might, with a little bit of help, a little bit of buying pressure, we could definitely, make a turn for the upside. Let's see. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour again looking pretty good. I mean, it is below these three here, but not a big deal. Does definitely look like it wants to stay with the pack here. We might get a retest of the 55 close to 129.60, 129.5. We'll call it 129.5. That'll be a good time for if you're looking to buy the dip or buy a bounce. I mean, this would probably be a good area. I don't think we're going to come down and retest the 89. I don't think we'll do that. I was actually waiting for a bounce and a test of the same area down here, but we never got that. So it just tells me that Litecoin is staying resilient here. People still buying into the fact that the halvening is coming. So definitely don't see an end to this trend here anytime soon. definitely continue with the trend until we do see a full-on confirmation of a reversal um, on Litecoin. But I don't think we're going to see that within the next 5 weeks. Um, Maybe towards the end of the 5 weeks, that the possibility starts becoming more and more viable. So um, let's look at the daily here. Looking at, yeah, I mean, daily is looking very, very bullish still. I mean, just retest of the 30 simple there. Uh, Currently just staying right on top of it, not really moving from there. So definitely looking like we can definitely have some continuation here. Again, if it does dip below that, then look for a bounce right around in between this region. I don't think that we will retest the 21 quite there. I do think we're going to stop somewhere here in between, given that Litecoin has, just has built a lot of support in the community. Litecoin believers, like the Litecoin army, if you will. I don't know what they call themselves, but they definitely have have proven that Litecoin has some respectable support here. So that's kind of where we're at with that. The daily did have a cross down. And I mean, again, it could come back and retest this area, but then I think it does bounce back, and also given the fact that Bitcoin's still running up, although it is taking pretty much all the trading volume along with it, I do think it is going to share in some of those gains. So as the market usually does, right? So um, again, just continue on with the trend. And then let's definitely want to look at BNB because it is tied to the news of tonight. Looking so basically, what happened here about an hour ago, hour and a half ago, maybe. Let's look at the hourly because this will actually call it pretty dead on. So yeah, so it started running prior to the announcement. So, maybe some inside trading, definitely maybe there. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. Not a conspiracy theorist at all, but maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe some insider trading information because we did see a BNB coin started to run prior to that Q&A with a CZ over at Binance, and they've pretty much announced what I think is key in this whole pattern here, um, this whole bounce here off the 30 simple here. Basically, he went out and he said CZ announced that there will be another IEO coming very soon. The announcement should be released in the near future. And this time they are, as in previous IEOs, they have required that you hold BNB coin for at least a period of 9 days, and you have to hold it, not necessarily like buy and sell it. He wants you to hold it. They want you to hold it entirely, and not really sell it or trade it or do anything trivial like that. They definitely want you to keep it in your bag and don't move it for 9 days for you to be able to trade with their latest IEO, which again, as you can see, that sort of news was definitely something that propelled BNB coin into these nice ranges. We do see a move of 3%. Not something to go wild and crazy about, but we definitely saw that the price spiked right after his announcement of that. And along with it, he did give us a few other pieces of news worth mentioning. Uh, Man, definitely feeling thirsty tonight. Um, but he did give us a few other noteworthy things that are going on with Binance, and we'll talk about them some more after we're done with the TA session here. But looking pretty bullish on the 1 hour. Still looking like it wants to continue here. We might see it. We might see it stagnate here for a little bit, and then maybe we get another run as soon as when the news breaks out. I mean, it's definitely very late here in the United States. maybe when the rest of the United States tomorrow morning catches wind of the announcement, maybe we'll see a continuation of this run. We could potentially come back in retest the 30, but then I think it'll get bought up and come back up into the 35 $36 range, and maybe continuation after that, because again, people are going to have to hold it people are going to have to hold BNB for at least 7 days this time prior to being able to participate in the IEO. So that tells me that there's going to be more and more people buying, especially if you've been involved in a prior IEO with Binance. You're definitely going to want to hold it, because we've seen it with. Let me go back here. I've actually been following a couple of their IEOs. Um, where is it? Um, Give me 1 second, guys. I know that I was following one of their uh, one right, one of their IEOs, which is one. Um, and so, I mean, you can tell right here. So if you participated in the previous IEO in on Binance, I mean, 185% at the top, and then we see sort of a casual drop off in price, and we're currently testing previous lows. I mean, there's no way we can do technical analysis on something like this, but when the next announcement comes along and they let us know when the next IEO will be in, I do think it is definitely something that people will rush into, buy and hold BNB, which will propel the price even further. As we saw in this previous run, I think this is when maybe one of the last IEOs was launched, either one or FET was launched, and we did see a run up in price again, because they're requiring you to hold it for 9 days, and then look at the drop off after that. Big, massive, just drop off, sell off here. In fact, let's just give it a quick measure here. We won't use the wicks this time around. I mean, 13% is pretty good retracement there, pretty good sell off there. But then, again, we're going to see some people buying and holding it for at least 7 days, and into the IEO announcement, and then from there, people are going to start dumping it for whatever IEO they do decide to launch at that point. Let's see. I think that's all I got for BNB. Let's look at XRP, which has been steadily, slowly but steady, right? Slowly but steady. Look at, I mean, just continuation of the same run. Um, that is just, I mean, we did get a golden cross. I've been telling you guys about for quite a while. We did get a golden cross back here of the 55 and the 200. And so, um, so yeah, I mean, right over here, right back here, May 30th, we did see the golden cross, but then Bitcoin did dump, and it stifled the run, and it looks like it wants to regain previous highs here. Again, it's coming back to retest this close here, or actually this week here, and if it closes above it, then I do think that this could be potential continuation to the upside here, and retest maybe these previous highs at around 45 cents in the near term. Daily is looking pretty sharp right now, looking like it's definitely in the bullish control zone. And again, it could take a while for XRP to develop those retest those previous highs. So that will require for the RSI to stay up here for maybe a few days in order for XRP to accomplish that. So definitely keep an eye on it. I did exit my trade on this, so I have no interest in whatever happens with XRP. Personally, it could dump. It could go on a parabolic move. I don't have any bags currently holding XRP. So the 4 hour is still looking very, very bullish. Definitely, gaining some separation from the 30 simple here, staying above every major and simple moving average. does look like it wants to come back and test. I think somewhere in the middle here, but look at it right now, currently staying pretty resilient here around the 44 cents range, 44 and a half almost. I wouldn't be bearish on XRP right now. The 4 hour is looking again pretty bullish again on the with the RSI staying in the bullish area. But yeah, in the near term, I do think we're gonna come up here and retest the prior high here around 47 cents. Given that Bitcoin is definitely on a tear right now, and it will continue to be for the next at least for the near term. Speaking of, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a little bit longer. And now after we do get that move to 10,000, I do think we'll reassess. But I mean, if obviously if things stay looking the way they are, then we could potentially see $11,000 Bitcoin in probably within a month or so. So yeah, just want to go back and relook at that. 4 hours still looking pretty bullish, retesting the 30 here, and I do think it's gonna maybe stay there, maybe come back and retest, have a retest close to the 21, but not quite. We'll see. All right, so on to finish off with Binance and CZ, letting everyone
To answer this
know.
question, the ID
Actually,
from the IE.
Sorry, guys. Actually, let me have you guys listen to the man himself. He is announcing here that also when it comes to IEOs, and now a new term for you guys, IDOs, which is initial DEX offering, and pretty much he lets people know that he has no control over these IDOs.
We actually have zero control and zero participation in it. A project Raven protocol just decided they want to do what they call an IDO, and basically what it involves is that they promise to sell at different their tokens at different tranches at different times, and that's something that no one has control over like they want to do it. If you want to sell your token on a DEX, you can. No one can block you. So again, so the IDOs are very different from IEOs. The IDOs are not related to us. IDOs are ran completely independent from Binance or Binance DEX community team. No one has control over that.
Yeah, so he's basically clarifying that these new terms for these new launched projects on a DEX, they have no control over, since it is a decentralized exchange. No one pretty much no one has control over these things except for the community, right? And so there's been a lot of projects popping up and actually launching their IDOs in decentralized exchanges. And then he does go on to say that there'll be another reason why it might be a good time for BNB, not financial advice, but it might be a good time for people to get into BNB. I myself am considering it. I am doing my own due diligence and research on this whole thing. Again, don't take this as financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. If you want to ask me what I came up with, let me know, and I can do a follow-up video on this. But it's looking like they are going to continue on this path of launching their IEOs on their exchange. For the near future, he did mention that at the very least, they'll be having at least one IEO launch on their mainnet or on their regular, standard exchange, Binance.com. They're going to be picking one IDO according to their research and according to certain criteria. As long as it meets some of the expected measurements, then they can go ahead and announce a launch of this new IDO and onto an IEO again on their Binance platform. So pretty interesting stuff. I think this, and also again there's a next burn, coin burn coming up. He he did mention this on the video as well. There will be another BNB burn coming up in around July 15th, according to CZ here. Um, so I mean, it's worked out quite well in the past. Whenever there's a burn, price does jump, and investors in the BNB coin are, very happy, very satisfied with that. I've actually not taken part in any of those myself, just too risky for me in the past. I think this time around it's looking a little bit better, and I might want to take advantage of what's here right now before they do block U.S. investors. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm still doing my due diligence and my research to make sure that I stay safe with that kind of stuff. But if you do decide to participate in the IEO or IDO, again, definitely do your due diligence. As even CZ warns that you should definitely do your research and know what you're getting into, as these IDOs are decentralized and there's no really any authority or central anything to really protect you or any sort of insurance. I mean, it's definitely the epitome of a wild west type of approach with that. So he did also, to finish up with BNB, he did also mention that there is a GBP stable Binance coin coming up, backed by the British pound, that will be redeemable for British pounds in the near future as well. He didn't give us an exact date, but he said it is coming, and it will be backed by the British pounds. Um, all right, so I think that's all for Binance Coin here and Binance altogether. To be honest, you guys, I am still a little bit sour and salty about the whole migration to a U.S. based exchange. I definitely don't like the news of that, and being restricted as a U.S. investor. Um, and you know, I have to go on a rant here, but as a U.S. investor. I do think that we are over regulated, and the crypto space is just being just hammered away with speculation on regulation, because it's really nothing concrete, nothing concise. I mean, this is why Binance and a few other exchanges have decided to censor and limit U.S. based investors within the crypto space, given that the SEC and the FRB, Federal Reserve Board, have increased their warnings and sort of created a little bit of chaos around crypto trading among these crypto trading platforms. And we obviously see the result here with CZ and again a few other trading platforms censoring United States-based investors, and it just leaves me with a really bad taste, because it's all based on speculation. There's no clarity right now. There's no law. There's nothing concise. There's nothing that's been written in paper or stone about cryptocurrency investing in the United States. It's just fear and FUD from the SEC and the FRB, just mounting pressure on these exchanges to ban or take tighter restraints within crypto investors based in the U.S. Without providing them with any sort of clarity or reason. And it's very, very confusing for both us as investors and them as administrators of these exchanges, because last year, SEC came out and said, okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, not securities, right? Yet they are still inflicting a lot of fear within the space, and not only for investors, but for exchanges as well. And again, not providing any clarity, not providing any future promises as to any clarity with regulation as to where we're going, where we're headed, how we're going to manage the space, what are these cryptocurrencies going to be held under which jurisdiction. I mean, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing yet. Um, and here we are, being pushed to new boundaries every time. We see it in, perfect example, the, ICOs in 2017. You know, highly questionable activity now by being called by the SEC, and now they've banned all ICOs, and they've actually gone after a few ICOs, and definitely slapped some lawsuits on those projects. So from there, we move on to IEOs, and now we see the SEC again coming back and saying, not so fast. Those IEO things, they don't look so compliant. We're going to have to regulate those, or we're going to have to promise that we're going to regulate those, but no clarity there. And then we have now a new term coming out called the IDO, initial DEX offering. And so we'll see how that goes. I mean, there was no way to regulate an IDO, but I'm sure they'll find a way to instill the fear in the community and somehow regulate that, or somehow start restricting again. So I mean, we just see it step after step. The crypto space getting creative every time at every step, and then we have the SEC. We're just with just blanket statements, not providing any clarity, not providing any roadmaps, just keeping it vague and saying, "Hey, yeah, we don't like those. There's no reason for you not to like them. You've already said they're not securities." And then we have the CFTC saying, "Okay, we'll allow your product to um, participate in derivatives market within our CBOE and CME markets. No problem. I mean, that's all fair and game. That's all pretty good. We like that." So I mean, very contradicting, um, just very confusing information coming out of our regulators here in the U.S. I just wish that they would just get their shit together and really come up with maybe a new regulatory body, because this is not a security, this is not a commodity, although it looks friendlier on that end, but it's neither, right? So maybe we need to get a new branch of government to look at this and get some people who actually know what the hell they're talking about, because clearly the SEC has no freaking clue where they're standing. They just have no understanding of what they're doing with cryptocurrencies, and it's sort of that analogy where you have a shoemaker, a shoe repair guy, thrown into an operating room, and he's being told, "Here, go ahead and operate on this man. You need to do a triple bypass on this man, otherwise he's going to die." Uh, this is kind of how I see it. The SEC meddling with things they just have no understanding about, and maybe perhaps it's just best to hand it off to somebody who does understand, or at least seek the advice. Right? Although they did seek advice from Andreas Antonopoulos himself, and it didn't seem to sink in. So maybe they needed to go back and redo that, and bring in some other experts until the cryptocurrency basics get ingrained in them, and they realize that they're actually out of their comfort zone, and they're actually messing with something they have no clue how to manage. Um, that would be, in my opinion, would be amazing and great for the crypto space, and we can move on and move forward from all this fear mongering and FUD from these really incompetent SEC and FRB regulators. All right, so enough for my rant for tonight. I'll finish it off with the, I found a couple of sites where they are rating some of these exchanges. And I told you guys in my last video, I'm looking at Kraken for a potential new place to start trading crypto. I don't want to wait for Binance and their US based exchange, just because it's another thing he did say. CZ said, the US based Binance exchange will not be owned by Binance. It's just going to have the name, but it's being ran by a third party affiliate. And also, the new trading platform for US investors will not participate, or will not have the famous SAFU funds, or Binance's own insurance when it comes to stolen funds or anything like that. So it will not partake in that. It will not have its own SAFU fund for stolen funds. He does say that maybe once the platform gets going and people start trading it and it starts generating some revenues, then they might, right, and that's the key word in the whole sentence is they might come up with their own SAFU fund, right? So um, again, that's why I'm taking action now, not waiting for 90 days, which I highly encourage you guys to not wait it out. We saw in 2017 there was a huge influx during that bull run back in I want to say third quarter to fourth quarter of 2017, where I mean just everybody and their grandmother was coming to crypto and trying to set up new accounts on Binance, Bittrex, Poloniex. All these exchanges were actually having to turn people down because they couldn't keep up with the demand. So I highly, highly encourage you guys to start taking action now. If you are in the process of it, congratulations. That's a great move. Because otherwise, if you wait for the deadline or closer to the deadline, you're gonna probably find that there's gonna be a lot of roadblocks from you and getting started on a different exchange. And then it also gives you time to get used to a new look, new features, new layouts, and maybe you just find out whether you like it or not. So I definitely encourage you guys to start working on that. These are according to this website here, Crypto Radar. They rated Bitstamp as one of the top exchanges, along with Kraken, which I was pleased to see that they deem Kraken to be one of the better exchanges as an option out there. Coinbase, again, I do have a Coinbase account, but I really dislike Coinbase. Their fees are just outrageous, just incredible. And then the Coinbase Pro, which their trading fees are decent, but they're not great. So definitely pleased to see this list here. And then I went out and gathered a second opinion as well on top of that, where here again we see Coinbase, but again I'm not. I've already have an account there, not looking to trade on Coinbase or Coinbase Pro. Coin Mama, I've heard about this exchange here and there, but don't really trust it. Although their reputation seems to be a trusted exchange. Luna, I've never heard of till today. They're also calling it a trusted exchange. Um, and we do see here a couple other options that I did like Bittrex and Poloniex, both based out of the U.S. So they're going to be hopefully on top of the fear mongering regulation from the SEC and FRB. Binance, who we don't care to discuss, and then Chan Jelly, which doesn't seem to be an official exchange. It's a way for you to trade cryptocurrencies or convert them, but not necessarily trading is what I gather from this whole little excerpt here. And then lastly, we have Bittrex and Poloniex, which do seem like viable options. Cryptopia, which I'm surprised it made the list because it no longer exists, to my knowledge. Yeah, these are some of the options. Let me know if you guys are looking at any of these, if I'm in the right track, or if you have something completely different that you think is worth taking a look at. Again, if you have a affiliate link, definitely drop it in the comments. I would definitely open up an account under your affiliate link, and we'll see how it goes. But that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for joining. Again, remember to follow us on the Real Shot 256 on Twitter and the Real Shot 256 on Instagram. Let me know you're following. Definitely appreciate when you do. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great night.